All right, so now let's talk more about the borrowings and the Eurobond and the deficit in the budget. Among other things, we'll be doing that with Mr. Bismarck Rewane, the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company. Mr. Rewane, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Nigerians are getting uncomfortable again. Our Eurobond, of course, that will increase debt servicing. And then we thought the government was done with domestic borrowing since it was very aggressive at the beginning of the year. But now we see this seeking of approval for 1.15 trillion naira. I believe our budget, our debt now is about 400 trillion. Also, and that's putting a lot of fear in the mind of Nigerians. What do you see? What's your perspective to these new borrowings?
First of all, I think the approvals that are being requested now are just to ratify what is there. These are not additional debts, to be honest with you. And let us start with the Eurobond. The Eurobond, we have a maturing obligation which matured, I think, yesterday of 1 billion, and we have another maturity in another 2 months. So what the Eurobond issue is being used for, the application of the funds, is to refinance existing Eurobonds. So it does not increase our total external debt. 2, we are doing it at a time when interest rates globally are coming down. Therefore, we have an opportunity to do this. 3 is that because of the tension as a result of the U.S. threat of action in Nigeria, it is good that we do it now before anything escalates, but we do not expect any escalation. So that is on the international debt side. On the domestic debt side, it is just a ratification of the financing of the budget, because before you go into the budget for 2026, which will be announced any moment from now, you need to settle all the outstanding items. So the 1 point, whatever it is, trillion for the domestic borrowing is just a ratification of what has been there and the deficit as this. Don't forget our budget of this year was in excess of about 54 trillion naira, and the deficit was as wide as almost 13 or 14 trillion naira. So what the president is asking for is the instruments to finance this, and you finance it by issuing of treasury bills, bonds, and other papers. So I don't think it's anything to worry about. Because our revenues have increased, because subsidies have been virtually eliminated, you'll find that the revenue available to service debt one and to pay off the debt when it is required is not in doubt. So it's not any reason to panic at all.
And since we're looking for revenue as a country that talks about selling the state-owned refineries, can't that fill some of this gap or need for revenue to fund the budget?
Well, let's be clear. One thing is that the fact that your revenue is growing does not mean your debt requirements are not growing. Selling refineries is, in the balance sheet, you have an asset called a refinery, and then you are short of cash. If you sell the refinery for cash, that helps, but it doesn't change that much. Selling the refineries to whoever may want to buy them is good, because the major thing about the refineries is that they are cash guzzlers. They use all your cash. So the maintenance of the refineries has been a major issue as far as our debt management and also our expenditure management. So if we can sell them, we can sell them, it will help us, so it will reduce our amount of money we are spending on what we can call dying assets or dead assets. So I think that's the one. But if we are selling them, we are selling them because of efficiency, not because we are revenue short or we are trying to reduce our debt.
But Mr. Rewane, what are you hearing about the prospect of getting good buyers to make this refinery functional in the country? Sometimes you hear conversations around, it's too capital intensive to even get it back to an operational level, and so that's scaring away investors. But I remember I had a conversation some time ago with someone in industry and said, well, the depot owners will gladly take possession of this because they know how to manage issues around the industry.
First and foremost, these refineries are built 40, 50 years ago, if not 60 years ago. Their technology is out of date. Some of them were some of the major decisions made, especially in Kaduna and Refinery, were were warped and were not efficient decisions. So I don't know who is going to buy it, because if you compare the input-output ratio, that is, if you put in 100 barrels of oil and what you get out in terms of refined products, with those refineries today, and compare them with the modular refineries and the Dangote refinery today, you are not going to be able to compete. So quite frankly, I don't think of selling them. I think first and foremost, shut them down and give them out as gifts, if you may, because whoever is silly enough to buy them will know that he has to invest a lot of money to upgrade that technology to make it efficient and competitive. So, to be honest with you, selling them makes sense, and you will have to, whoever is going to buy them will have to take into consideration the cost of upgrading them to make them competitive.
But so when you're saying giving them as gifts, I think that actually got me laughing. How would they give such a huge infrastructure as gifts? Then what does the country stand to gain from it?
No, I know I'm just being sarcastic, but the reality is that nobody in his right mind, right, will buy it, because if you buy it, you are going to have to spend a lot more money to upgrade it and make it competitive. It can be done, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be very, very expensive. So for us, the savings is that, let us know that it's not going to generate much. Let us know that even if we give them out as gifts or sell them at a discount to wherever it is, once we have those things producing, it's not going to, right now, it won't change much. But I want you to understand something, that clearly today, because of the Dangote refinery and its efficiencies that are happening, and today because the modular refineries are also producing diesel, and tomorrow when we sell or give them out, these refineries, Nigeria will not be an importer of refined products anymore. As a matter of fact, we are exporting products. At that point, you see it helps our currency, it helps our productivity, and it guarantees production, especially relative to the West African countries. So if people want to smuggle, they can go and smuggle it out. And that's but what we are going to have from now going on, and Dangote has made it clear that we are not going to, it's going to be producing 45 million liters a day, which is more than enough for us, and that we are not going to have any shortages or price increases for now till the end of the year. I think that's the most important thing. Whether the sale of the refineries or the purchase of the maintenance of those refineries will alter the economic destiny of Nigeria is not really relevant. The destiny of Nigeria, macroeconomic destiny of Nigeria is already determined. We are already in a path of efficiency, and we need to do so many things in so many sectors to maintain that level of efficiency. And especially at this time when we are facing these challenges, both geopolitical and economic.
So talking about geopolitical and the threat from the US to Nigeria, how much impact do you think that has had? We've seen the Naira lose, I think that was two trading sessions ago. We saw it lost a whole 1%. Can we connect it to the Trump military action threat or the genocide allegation?
No, I think the political interpretation of whether the genocide attempt or not, that's not the point. Is that when your economy or your political leadership comes under a threat, investors are very wary as to what the outcome. The question is, one, is it an empty threat? Is it a threat that could be carried out? And if it's carried out, what will the impact? So the market is already discounting this. We've seen the Naira lose marginally, not much, maybe about 7, 8, 9, 10 Naira. Compared to the gains the Naira had made in the past, what we are doing, we are giving back some of the gains that the Naira has made. Two, we've seen the stock market lose, and you just alluded to that a few minutes ago. Stock market has lost in all about almost 2.5% in that, but it was going to lose anyway because the market was overpriced, and there was a slight correction. So we do not expect that. As a matter of fact, we expect the market to gain today at the end of trading today. So what you do the choice you have in this situation is that, is the economy resilient and is it buoyant in that case, whatever impact, whatever speculative attack you have on the currency, the markets and all of that will be muted, will not be that much. And now that we are raising the Eurobond issue, which I think has been underwritten, we will have those dollars to support the currency. So I expect that there will be some wobbly movement in terms of the market will factor that in. But when it is now clear that the likelihood of a military attack is very low and remote, and that what the Trump administration is doing is trying to encourage the Nigerian government to be more aggressive and more efficient in managing security within the middle belt of Nigeria. Once that is clear and Nigeria responds accordingly, which I think they will do, then the question of an attack and the economy going into a free fall will then be reduced. But definitely, anytime there's a major statement from a country as big as the United States against a country like Nigeria, the markets will not ignore it, and that's what we are seeing. But the good thing is that the amount of decline in markets and exchange rate has not been that vicious. The only thing I would point out is that based on what has happened, the probability that the Central Bank of Nigeria will reduce rates at the next meeting is becoming slimmer, because you don't, in the middle of a storm, you don't change direction. So we might see deferral of the interest rate cut or the magnitude of the cut at the next meeting, which is in about 3 weeks from today. So that's all. I don't think we should. There's a need for investor panic at this time. Not at all. I think things. The economic destiny of Nigeria is pretty much guaranteed because of the resources that we have, because there's no madness taking place, and that generally speaking, it's the question of whether there's genocide is subject to interpretation. There is obviously need for more efficiency in managing the security, but there's no calculated attempt to exterminate Christians in Nigeria. I don't think that has ever been the case. So whatever statements are being made are probably exaggerated, but cannot be ignored. It means that Nigeria has to do more work in terms of making sure that its country is very well secured for all Nigerians, for that matter, no matter their ethnic origin or creed or what have you. So I think that is clear. The Nigerian government is aware, or should be aware, and I think is really aware of this, and therefore the government will do what it has to do to ensure that everybody feels safe. It's a shame that we have to be reminded about it by external parties, but it is what it is.
All right, Mr. Rewane. So FDC has given us the prices of commodities. We saw the drop in the price of rice. Yes. We saw that in the price of chicken and other commodities like pepper and all of that. What is it now, looking at the costs or the price of commodities especially, and now we're just how many weeks away from Christmas?
Yes, it's interesting because this is a time of the year when the harvest season is on. And we've seen some very interesting pricing development for two reasons. One, because of the harvest and increased supply. Two, because people seem to be broke. I don't need to tell you that they're spending more on petrol. They're spending 992 naira per liter. Every time you spend 992 naira per liter on petrol, you have less to buy garri and rice. So what is the impact of this on garri and rice? It's as follows. Rice is at 70,000 flat, beans is at 65,000 flat, and tomatoes is at 70,000 flat. And compared to this time last year, those prices are slightly lower. But compared to what we think it should be doing, we think that at this time, normally the prices begin to pick up as its harvest comes to an end. We get a pick up, but we are not seeing that happen. So the good news is that because of all the macroeconomic and geopolitical tension, when we see prices decline, it means that inflation is actually beginning to come under control. And therefore, that will encourage the central bank to bring down interest rates after factoring the exogenous shocks that we are facing right now. So generally speaking, I think that you are going to see prices reduce now, but when the petrol price gets kicked in, that is the difference between 841 and 992. I think that you're going to be seeing some prices begin to increase again, but not that sharply. Then December, we've seen the price of turkey is down, but the price of chicken is likely to increase because of the Christmas. There's something I must tell you about rice. The rice situation is that India recently, because of the Trump tariffs, removed the export ban they had on rice exports. And the fear of many Nigerian traders who are importing rice were afraid that the new Indian rice that will come out will be much cheaper than it. So they are now selling on a fire sale basis, reducing the prices. And rice is so critical because it's a major component. People use it mainly for lunch. Some people use it even for breakfast somehow. And it has a major cross-elasticity impact because of the substitute yam, substitute beans, substitute gari. So once rice moves, all other prices of food commodities move. So if after the Indian effect or export ban effect, when we see the price of rice coming down, then we may see a rapid increase in the price of rice. So I will not be surprised if in another 2 or 3 weeks, we begin to see rice go back to 80, 85,000. Because don't forget, at this time last year, the price of rice was about 110,000. So even if you go back from 70 to 85,000, which is a major jump, such we do not think it will happen, then the Christmas effect have an impact there. But I want you to note that in January, every January, no matter whether it's this year or last year or the year before, the price of rice actually drops sharply because a lot of people bought rice. A lot of people gave rice to their customers and everything in December. And once Christmas and New Year is over, you will find immediately that the price of rice will come down. So if you trend it and average it between October and January, you'll find that the price of rice this year is going to be much lower than it was in prior years.
Stock up, Mr. Rewane, just before the warehouse gets empty. Let's stock up before Christmas. Thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you, Ini, for having me.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with other stories we have for you here in Business Morning. Please stay with us.